All right. Okay. Let's go over builds for a Titan. Oh, didn't mean to hit that. Okay, Titan builds. Right now, storm grenades are just stupid good. Like, broken, stupid good. So, PvE or PvP have that storm grenade going. Okay? What you need to run with it is knockout. Excuse me, because you get double fragments and touch of thunder, because this is where, see, where is it, storm grenade after detonating releases roaming thundercloud that tracks nearby targets and fires bolts of lightning that defeat foes beneath it. It is like oppressing to fight somebody like this in the crucible, and you can just throw your grenade and walk around the corner and go make a coffee, and your grenade is just gonna wipe the map for PVE. Um, I like to use Thunderclap just because it's a little bit more reserved than the other two for PVE. And for PVE, I'll also sometimes run the barricade just so that I can get my grenades more often. But all things depending, sometimes I'll use the towering barricade if I need to set up a blocking shield. If I just need to use, a half shield, I actually really like the rally barricade. Is probably my favorite pre dodge because it's so versatile. I can crouch behind it if I really need to. I can actually it was funny. I think it was called Gorilla Grip. In Destiny 1, there was a perk on your guns that you could, if you're firing out of cover, which they didn't have back then, you'd get a bonus. It's much like field prep is now. But it does, field prep doesn't have the cover requirements. So, anyways, rally, and it reloads your guns quicker, so I like that. So now your mods, my lingering arc grenades, if that's what I'm focusing it on, I want to see them more often and to last longer. So here, my lingering arc grenades have extended duration. I understand that I've just been preaching, to keep your stats high, don't negate any stats, but jolting your targets, um, they'll chain lightning to other targets. And that's what makes these so good, is because it just keeps doing this like dot damage, which damage over time, which just keeps striking over and over and over again. So when you jolt them, they'll now do damage to the enemies around them. So even if they're not within the cloud, they're going to take damage. So that's how you're able to wipe a room. It's worth the -10 discipline. Your arc final blows have a chance to create an ionic trace. Ionic trace is a bolt of pure arc energy that travels along the ground, seeking towards its creator. It gives you ability energy, right? So if I can create more traces, that's fantastic. Defeating jolted targets create an ionic trace. So again, that's fantastic. So now, if I throw out my grenade, I can damage the target. I jolt the target. If I defeat that jolted target, it now creates a trace that comes to find me, and I get more grenade energy, so I go from there. So that all, I mean, there's definitely, you can use whatever else you want in there. I just find the synergy in that just so good. So I can run an armamentarium. The one, but I'll switch it up for you guys, because the one that's actually doing very well right now is I think it's Heart of Inmost Light. So let me just apply that one right now. So in here, my Heart of Inmost Light, you can see I definitely haven't spent the same amount of time on my Titan that I've spent on the rest of my builds, but let's still go through. So I want high resilience. I want a solar mark so that I can put bomber on it so that when I use my solar class ability, I get my grenade faster. So I've got bomber there. So I want high resilience, high discipline. Nothing really else matters. So as you can see, I could probably take this off and put another into resilience. The benefit about resilience is I should really focus 100% into resilience because the faster I get my cooldown on my class ability item, the more it'll actually benefit my grenade. If I just run my grenade up to 100, once I throw my grenade, I still have the entire length of time to rebuild my grenade. Whereas this, every time I use this, I get a large bump in my grenade back. Boom, 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 boom. So this does double duty, that does single duty. So having it so that it's 100% on that is going to be a massive, massive bonus. So any of these, I would change to this all the way through. Okay, I'm at 90, and now I'm at 100. Okay, so that drops my discipline down to 30. Technically, what I can also do is because it's a seasonal thing, I can throw on this after throwing an arc grenade, gain increased arc grenade recharge for a short time. Okay, arc final blows extend the duration of this benefit, which means when I use my class ability, I would have gotten grenade energy now instead of using my class ability. I'm just getting grenade when I throw my grenade. So I could take some of this and put it into this. Does that make sense? Because I have just done the opposite of what I said. I'm just showing a different one of the builds. Now, whenever I use an ability, I get ability energy back. I don't need that. So when I use my melee, it'll recharge my it'll recharge my class ability and my grenade. When I use my class ability, it'll recharge those two, and then when I use my grenade, it'll recharge those two. So that's a great little build for PvE or technically PvP. Let's go through another one, which is let's go through the Helm of Saint 14. Let's get a solar one going there. Or sorry, Lorelei's. Okay, here we go with Lorelei's. Okay, so the way Lorelei's goes is this helmet is like you've heard it memed that you just literally can't die with this helmet. So when you're critically wounded with full class ability energy, or when you cast a barricade, create a sunspot on your location that has improved restoration effects. Okay, so then in solar here, to improve the restorations effects, um, it creates a sunspot. So having Soul Invictus also creates sunspots. When I scorch, it applies restoration. So that's definitely the one you want. Roaring Flames is final blows with your solar or ignition. Increase the damage times 3, which means that if an enemy runs into your barricade while it's going off, you get a huge benefit. This one really is very niche, so that's why I wouldn't run it unless that's your thing, is sliding and scorching that way. This way just makes more sense for everybody. And then everything I want, so restoration, I get that when I get my when my Lorelei's helmet is popping off, when I take damage, or when I put up my barricade. So that's fantastic. So I want that to have increased duration. So when I scorch targets, I get my class ability, so that you see the loop we're building here, and that's what I'm hoping that people gain from watching, is that they see that you can create this synergy where everything builds into each other, so that it really makes it so that the build is working for you rather than just playing the game. Um, this one I could probably pick something else. And so could I with that one. So let's go through. Um, I've got this one already. Applying restoration um, grants increase grenade, melee, and class ability generation. That's perfect. So let's do that. And now this. So this one is that I get restoration from my helmet. I get restoration from scorching targets, or increased class ability energy, which will give me then the restoration. And then when I apply restoration, I get class ability energy. So it's constantly feeding itself. You can't escape it, and that's where they're saying you can't die with it. I've literally stood in the duality dungeon and just gone to the washroom and walked back, and I'm standing at the boss's feet, and you cannot die because of the loops that you can create with these superior builds. So let's go through, see what else we can throw on there. Okay. Um, so I can apply more scorch stacks to targets, which is fantastic. Um, I really like that one actually because what that means is that they'll actually burn longer, not just that they'll burn deeper. Like they won't get cut deeper; they'll just get cut for longer, and that means that my restoration recharge on my abilities will last longer. So it'll give me more. It tops up more for everything. All right, let's see. I've got that one already. Defeating targets with my solar ignitions. Although I can ignite, I'm not really like that's not really exactly the point of what I'm doing isn't igniting. I mean, I can still get ignitions, but that's not really the whole point. Okay. Let's just see what this last one is. Is defeating scorched targets grants melee energy? Sure. And it gives me plus 10 recovery. I like the sounds of that. So off the bat, we've got 100 resilience. That's fantastic. That's exactly what I want. That's really the only stat that matters in this. That's the only thing I'm going for. The other thing I'd want to make sure is I put short shield because look at the timer difference. It's 8 seconds. 8 seconds doesn't seem like much right now sitting in here. 8 seconds can be the world of difference if you're the last living member in a Grandmaster or in a raid, and they're counting on you. So that's what I go with. I also do the throwing hammer because of the key binding where you can go into your I'll show you. You can go into your menu here, go customs, and set it so that every time you hit your button, it does the throwing melee, even if you're standing beside them, which does huge damage because it counts as you throwing your hammer and then catching it again immediately. So there's a benefit there. The other thing I'm looking at is I might want my intellect up, but really I think if I just focus on resilience and recovery, I'm pretty much unstoppable. So I've got resilience, 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 resilience. I can't go wrong. And for this one, I would definitely have on either solar, I mean, not solar, void or stasis as a mark because of this here. Reduces your class ability cooldown when uh, using your class ability. So sometimes you'll have to balance between putting down your barricade and not just waiting until you take damage, and you can create that feedback loop. I think this does it better than stasis. It's just more expensive than stasis. And then you're free to run whatever else you want. You can, I generally, a lot of times, will run a Warmind build with this because if an enemy runs up, I put down my barricade, they get scorched. Because they get scorched, then they can ignite. When they ignite, they can spread the scorch through my Warminds. And then while making a Warmind, I can get a Warmind. So as soon as you get one Warmind out, if you explode it, it just won't stop. It's Warmind, Warmind, Warmind. There's your Wells of Light, which is fantastic because I'm just killing everybody with solar. There's Wells of Light that you can push into making you charged with light, and so run a charged with light build, or you can just straight up run a charged with light build. So those are definitely those are definitely good ways of going through this content. So let's see, what else are we going to run for our third Titan? Maybe some legs, maybe Doom Marchers. Let's see if I have an Antius Ward build. Yeah, I don't think I actually have a... Oh yeah, here's a Dune Marchers build, so let's walk through that one. Okay, so again, what do I want to do? I want to go into PvP and I want to kick people in the face. So how are we going to do that? So increases sprint speed. Sprint speed builds a static charge. After melee attacking an enemy, that charge will chain to damage nearby enemies. So this one's great for using in PvP when I'm running like that mini Thunder Crash one. So you would focus heavily on your class abilities so that you can get back your melee whenever you use your melee. You would focus heavily on your melee as well, so that way they're again you're creating this kind of feedback into everything that you're doing. Paragon Greaves are great. They only require you to now do a little bunny hop before you kick an enemy in the teeth. But again, the real crux of everything here is think about what you want to do, think about what you want to achieve, where you're going with it, and then what can help you. How can it go through? Definitely throw some comments out of what kind of builds that you want to see, what you want to go over. Maybe we can perfect something for you and push it to that next level. I personally focus on making sure my stat lines are good. After my stat lines are good, then my perks to support the build that I'm doing, that's secondary. And then third, if I can, I'll fit in, weapon mods to be specific. Because at the end of the day, I think that although targeting is nice, I think that most of us can shoot a gun. And I think targeting might be a bit of a placebo. Unflinching might be a bit of a placebo. Whereas the other stuff, it's hard stats. I can see it apply. I can feel it in my gameplay. So I think that's the better way to go is stats. I prioritize stats first, perks second, and then guns being buffed would be third by those types things. A faster reload or whatever. I think living longer is better than reloading faster, but who knows? If you're really that concerned about reloading faster, you could put on the short shield. There's always a secondary way around it, so. All right, that's the Titan. That's the Titan, so thanks for following along. Call me Knox. Next I'll go into Warlock.